Okay, great. Mic check, mic check. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is another panel session of the ADPList BeMore Festival. In this session, we'll be talking about how to build a successful product management career. So, just before we actually get started, I would like to get to know everyone on the call today. So you could just quickly put just some ground rules, kindly mute your microphone. Okay, make sure your audio sets is actually muted so you don't get distracted. Okay, so in the next few minutes we'll be getting started. But while we're actually waiting for others to join us on the call, you can just put on the chat what you currently do, your location, and your industry. So I think I'm just gonna start first. So it's just a bit of getting introduction, right? Just get to introduce yourself in the chats so that we can all familiarize ourselves with one another. Remember, we're not just here to, uh, okay, thank you, Sandy. Remember, we're not just here to learn, we're also here to network, okay? So I'll just start. My name is Ricky. Currently, I'm a product manager in the technology education space, and I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, so you can just input that on the chat. Why get to introduce yourself? Why we have others join us. So once again, welcome. This is the ADPList BeMore Festival. In this panel session, we're going to be talking about how to build a successful product management career. And a quick one, what is ADPList? ADPList is simply a platform that is actually democratizing mentorship for mentors and mentees all around the world. It's also a platform where you can actually get to meet mentors from around the world, from top organizations to hold your hands and guide you throughout your successful career. Okay, so I'll be a moderator for today. My name is Ricky. Currently, my name is Ricky. I'm a product manager. In the last 2 years, I actually spent my last 2 years experience has been in technology education space. Currently, I'm running the fintech organization as a co-founder, which is Bicycle. Uh, I've worked with an organization that actually used technology inspired models to actually build products for product development, right? So, Alpha, could you please help me with the agenda and takeaways? Okay. Yeah, the next
Sorry,
slide, I
Ricky,
think.
is this a slide or you want me to go next?
The next one, please.
Ah, sorry.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. So quickly in this session, we're going to be talking about how to build a successful product management career, right? And feel free to drop your questions on the chat. Okay. We have our amazing guest here that would actually answer those questions, however tough it may be. And I've realized over time, many a times, this is like one question that actually pop up between even folks who are looking to start their career as a product managers and also folks who actually who have already started their career as product managers. And the question simply is, how do I grow as a product manager? How do I become a better product manager? Every day I wake up, what is that one thing I should actually think of? What is that one thing I should actually imagine? In 5 years' time, how should I picture myself to be as a product manager? Right? And in this session, we're going to be answering that. So first, I already introduced ADP list and what we do here at ADP list and the BeMore Festival. We're going to be taking a deep dive introduction into product management, right? What product management is and why it is also a demand skill here in the technology industry. We're also going to be looking at the end of this session, you should have learned how to build a successful product management career. You should have learned also the influence of product management on different aspects of an organization's strategic decision and also their decision processes. Also, in this session, you're going to be learning the powerful transformation value of product manager and what recruiters look out for whenever they're hiring product managers. And above all, you're going to be learning how to upskill in your current capabilities as a product manager. So please stay tuned. Once again, I'm going to just quickly announce that you could just drop on the charts your current industry and where you are located. So let me just go first. I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria, and I work in the fintech industry. And I work in the fintech industry. Okay, so you could just drop that. Okay, beautiful. I can see the kid and aspiring PM based in India. All right, great. Thank you so much, everyone. So without further ado, let us meet our guests. Of course, you can see them on the screen. So let us meet our guests for today. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into the session. First off, we have Arthur. Currently, Arthur is an amazing lead product manager at Intuit. Arthur, a current investor with ADPList, has like really several years of experience. And if there's anyone you would learn the rudiments of product management like it's ABC, and like Arthur is like the right person for you. Currently, Arthur lost mentoring students and helping them get from where they are to where they ought to be, right? Author is passionate about data and also passionate about creating impact. So we also have Deepika on the call. Deepika, currently Deepika is a group product manager for marketplace at Gojek. She has actually proactively led research. She has proactively led product development for different organizations, especially in the marketing space. In her spare time, Deepika pursues a passion for cooking. Wow, that's amazing. And actually reading books and also keeping fit. So without further ado, let's welcome Deepika and Arthur. It's really really amazing having you guys on the call here. I mean, like I went through your profile and I was like I was really blown away. So thank you so much for taking out your time to share your insights with us, Deepika and Arthur. Would you like to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone.
Hi everyone. Really excited to be here. This is my second ADP list event, so looking forward to chatting about how to build a successful PM career.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Deepika. So without further ado, let's get this started. I think I'm just going to be asking questions to Deepika and Arthur. So, but meanwhile, you can also drop a question on the chat. Okay, you can drop your questions on the chat. Please feel free. This is a it's a no judgment based session. Okay, so please feel free to ask your burning questions on how you can grow a successful career as a product manager. So let me start with you, Arthur. Of what value is product management? Yes, because on the call we currently have aspiring PMs, we currently have PMs who are actually looking to upskill their career, right? So of what value is product management really?
I think if you want to define the term value, right, it's really dependent on the type of companies that you're currently working at. For example, a PM at a smaller startup company will have very different ways of driving value, right? And a PM at a larger company, you probably have a little bit more, less in scope, and you're a little bit more focused on your domain expertise. For example, like Facebook and Google, right? So, each one of them will have different areas that each PM will be responsible for, and having their scope increased as time goes by. So I would say product managers at different companies, larger or smaller, have impact, have a lot of value, and each one is responsible for driving the different growth levels of the company, right? Again, for instance, in the smaller company, you might be fundraising, you might be pre-series A or even series A, you're trying to get product market fit. But in a larger company, you're probably maintaining some of the systems, making sure that scalability is not an issue, things don't break. So those are the two types of different value add that I see from PMs over here.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Arthur. I mean, like, really, we cannot underestimate the need for product management in every organization. So talk to me, Deepika. What would you say a product management career looks like? What is the career path of product manager? In some organizations, we hear the career actually starts from being a product intern. At other places, we hear the career actually should start from being a junior product manager, and then with the highest level being a vice president of product management. So, in your own understanding, how would you best describe the career path of a product manager?
Um, so I think in terms of a career evolution, product management career has probably evolved the most in the last 10-15 years, right? And it's a relatively new career. So you did have sales, marketing, and even engineers way back, and probably project managers. But product managers themselves were something new. And and if you ask anyone, I don't know about Arthur, but me, myself, and a lot of other PMs, they had different careers before. They actually transitioned into product management sometime a few years down the line. So they already understood the domain, they understood the technology, or they had relevant skills that helped them transition. So you could start off as an intern. Nowadays, I see lot more people starting straight out of college, um, be it a tech or a business degree, and starting off as either APMs, product management interns, junior PMs. But a lot of people still transition from tech, design, data. These are the other ways of getting into product management. And obviously then couple of years of doing that, then you get into senior PM, then a lead, and potentially then there's the management track and the IC track. um, Product management is one such career where you could go up to like very high levels without having to manage people. So you can go all the way up to like principal, or people call them as staff. The designations again are very diverse. And you would usually need some help looking them up and like mapping to what is followed in your companies. But then it pretty much you have like the management track or the IC track, and that could take you all the way to the top if you wanted.
All right, makes sense. Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Then here's like a follow up question to that. Now many a times in the different companies, the career growth of product managers is actually time framed, right? So how would you best describe the time frame of this different career path? Let's say from an intern to being a junior product manager, what is the time frame from a junior product manager to being a senior product to being a mid-level product manager, from a senior product manager to being a director to a vice president? So would you put any time frame attached to these?
I think it depends on the industry, and it also depends on, like Arthur said, whether it's a startup or something more like well established, like one of the Fang or the Mang companies, right? And it so what could in a startup take you probably 5-6 years could take you like 10-15 years in a more mature company. Um, it's all about how much you're willing to invest um, in your career, and um, how much you're willing to pursue. And again, it doesn't mean that if you reach a director level in a startup, you can transition to being a director at like a Meta or a Google. You would probably have to start off at like senior PM levels. um, so it's ultimately about what you enjoy doing and how much effort you're willing to put into it. I wouldn't I wouldn't want to prescribe number of years to get to somewhere because it's dependent on the individual and the company that they choose to pursue.
No, amazing. Thank you so much. That was super insightful. So Arthur, what would you say are the major skills a product manager should actually have to, especially when pursuing a successful career? What major skills should every product manager actually possess?
So I have two things that I can point out very quickly here, right? One is curiosity. So basically, which kind of also answers the first question. Like, so from my personal experience, I'm a very curious individual. Before I started my work in product management, I actually work as a supermarket store assistant, and then I actually
Wow.
worked in retail as well in Adidas. And as I became a driver, just because of curiosity, I'm like, what does this feel like? How does this work do? What do these people do? And then at some point in my life, I was even a bartender and a warehouse assistant. I started working as an IT admin, got into real estate, did some telemarketing, worked in a printing company, and so on and so forth. So, this also kind of speaks to product managers are not really a lateral path, right? You don't just start from being technical or you start with product management, although we do have that now. I think Deepika made a very good point. Like product management wasn't available back in the day, right? Where we were both starting out our careers. We had to kind of like stumble upon into it. So, to answer the question, what major skills should a PM have to make a very successful career? I would say two things, right? One is having an insatiable curiosity, constantly trying to learn, constantly trying to figure things out, and constantly putting yourself or diving deep into various situations and understand how products work and how you can make it better. That would be number one. And number two, which I find that I've seen many senior directors and VPs, and even at the GM level, or even at the CEO level. One common trait that they always have is that they're very crisp and very clear with their communications, how they're able to distill a very complex problem and summarize it and re-explain that to the company or to the team and then drive everybody forward, right? So that is the one thing I find that really helps. And you don't need to have technical skill to be successful at that, right? Just make sure you think through about your communication, put it down to pen and paper, retype it out, share it out with other people. So I think these are the two things that will make anyone at any stage, any career, and or any level they're at the PM level, be very successful, which is being very curious and being very highly communicative.
Beautiful curiosity and communication skills. That was actually well taken. The Deepika, what would you add to that? Because let me rephrase this in this step, especially for aspiring PMs right now who are actually looking to get jobs as product managers. What major skills do you think they should actually portray to recruiters to actually put themselves in the position of actually being the best person to be hired?
um, so so in its simple form, it's essentially problem solving. But when you look at it from a product point of view, asking the right question: who is this for? Who's my customer? And what problem of theirs will my product solve? So getting down to those fundamentals for any of the things that you're asked to build, be it a very simple feature to like a MVP, and getting those basics right will potentially take you far in your PM journey.
Okay, so problem solving skills. That is actually thank you so much, Deepika. Thank you so much, Sylvester, for your contribution. I mean, like really, I totally agree with Sylvester. Product management has actually it has always been right. Even several times we actually carry out documentation, even in our previous experience, without even knowing we actually carry out product speaking to customers without even knowing we had actually been doing product management. I mean, like even many a times, business developers actually, would I say, one of like the closest folks to products to be to product managers, right? So, Arthur, there's this should I call it a misconception, or there's this mindset about if you need to have a technical skill before getting into product management, right? And of course, we know there are currently we have non-technical product managers. However, speaking from experience, there are times when they have issues in their organization, especially when the product they are building is a strictly technical product. So, for non-technical product managers, what processes do you think, what framework do you think they need to follow, especially when they are building a technical product?
Actually, this is my favorite question, right? So I've got a technical background, but I realize that most of the time as a PM, I don't actually use it. So, I think Deepika made a very good point about having business acumen, right? And being able to bring that to the table. I would say focus on the value that you can, provide and not worry about you not being technical enough or like, you're not an expert or subject matter expertise in the area or you don't have any domain expertise, like for example very complex, very technical scaling issues, at larger companies that you have to deal with. Leave those to the engineers, right? And this is where the trust comes in, where you have to understand what the technical team is telling you, make those trade-offs, but you don't have to go into too much detail into what they're actually doing to implement to solve the problem. Leave that to them. Now, it's just kind of imagine yourself, you're like a ping pong player, right? And I'm trying to compare you to somebody who plays bowling or badminton. All of them are like, have to do with balls and like it's round and circular, but they're not all the same. So, this is why I call the Trinity in product management, right? Where you have product, engineering, and design. Each one of us are responsible for very different functions, but we all have to come together in order for us to be successful. Having one or the other or one without the other is not a good combination. So, I'd say focus on what kind of value you bring to the table. If you're a non-technical PM, look at data, right? Bring in data, talk to the customers, bring in customer feedback, things that you can always easily do, right? Don't worry about the technical details, leave that to the engineers, and then work closely with the design team and make sure that you incorporate all of these three elements together and drive the team forward.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Arthur. Deepika, what would you add to that? I mean, like you currently have experience as a software developer, right? So, for a non-coder, for a non-programmer, what advice would you give us this regards?
So I understand, right? So because you're working with technical people, and there's always this imposter syndrome that can come in. So I don't really understand what they're saying. Oh, maybe it's more complex, or I cannot really figure out whether this particular problem will take a lot of time to solve, or it's a simple problem, and things like that. So to address those skills, to basically address that small monkey chirping away in your head saying you're not good enough, I would say spend the time and build those skills. So you have that in the back pocket. You have the understanding in the back pocket. But as a PM, you don't need to use it. You only need to use it to bring the confidence to the job, but not to be successful. So I would stick to what Arthur said. It's mostly about focusing on the problem, who is the user and what is their problem, and how I can solve it better than my competitor, right? What is the value that I can bring? How do I differentiate? So that's all there is to it. But yes, you have to work with engineers. So I would spend the time. I would find mentors and try and get the basics in to help me be more confident in my role.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Deepika. Regarding, because of course we know product management, the customer is always the priority here. But there are times in product management when your customer need doesn't align with the business goals, right? So I'll just show this to you, Arthur. How do you tend to balance both equations where you have a customer who is actually clamoring for a feature that actually doesn't align with the business goals, right? How do you actually solve that balance? How do you equate it?
So, over my career, of product management for 10 years now, I've learned that very early on in my career, I didn't really say no. But later on in my career, I keep using that word more often, right? So the story behind that is that sometimes your customers don't know what they don't know, or they don't know what they need. It's your job as a product manager to figure it out, right? Extract the requirements from them. And sometimes it doesn't involve building a new feature. There are multiple times when I get on the call with a customer, I was able to help them to solve their problem and connect an integration for them, solve the solution, create a solution from there, or maybe even just figuring out like, hey, actually it's just a misconfiguration, right? Something that can be easily solved instead of requesting for a feature and then you building a feature trying to solve that problem. So many times it's a listening skill, and you as a product manager has to be able to extract the requirement, give them a solution, and that doesn't necessarily have to be building a product feature, right? And sometimes it's okay to say no, not now but later on. One of the key favorite phrases that product managers use is that it's on the roadmap, it's coming soon. There is some negative connotation attached to that, where a lot of customers feel like you're just patronizing me and it's never going to be built, but that's not true. So with that, there's also an opportunity for you to collect more data, right? And say, let's say if it's just one customer reporting it, but maybe in 1 or 2 months time there's 1,000 customers who's asking for the same feature. That is a very strong signal for you to relook into it, reprioritize it, and maybe reconsider it, right? So I think that's how I will approach it.
Great. Thank you, Otto. So, as regards saying no to a customer, of course, this is like a follow-up question. Now, we totally understand that the average customers are not loyal, right? As at the point where you are not meeting their needs, they move on to your next competitor, right? So, how do you tell customers? I mean, like saying no is like one of the most difficult things, especially when it comes to customer needs, right? How do you say no to customers in a very subtle way, such that they don't get neglected and actually move on to your next competitor?
Sorry, Ricky, is that for me or for Deepika?
Yes, yes, for you, Arthur, it's like a follow-up question, right? Because
Sorry.
you spoke about saying no. So how do you like say no subtly to customers?
That's a great question, right? So, it really depends on the relationship that you have with your customers, right? How much trust do they have with you?
Mm.
So, for example, I'm looking at Intuit right now, and I'm on the Credit Karma team. We have about 120 million customers on a day-to-day basis. So every time when we make a recommendation or suggest something that they should use, customers will always trust us and will always jump into it, right? That's also that danger where you're like, I want to make sure that I'm not, doing something harmful to them. So once you've established the trust with your customers or your consumers or your members, over time you have that leverage to tell them that, hey, we're not building this today, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to do it forever. We're considering it, or now it's not a great time to do this, but we'll kind of get to it later. So when you have that trust built, your customers will know that, hey, you're actually thinking on behalf of them, you know what's best for them as well, and you're advocating for them, right? And they would trust you. So with that being said, establishing that trust, making sure that you have that foundation, and then gently letting them down and saying that, hey, we're not going to do it now, but it doesn't mean not now, but we can do it later. Always provide an option, or leave a door open, right? And say, hey, we might not be thinking of it right now, but we can possibly do it later. And then finally, make sure that you follow up, right? And your job as a PM is to be able to remember and follow up with the customers and say, hey, maybe after 3 months later, like, hey, there's a lot more supporting evidence and more signal that's coming to tell us that we should really focus on this problem and build the solution. I believe that you were waiting on this. Let me give you an update. I think closing the customer loop is very important, helping make sure that they feel trusted. There's a good basis of foundation, and also making sure that they're very well communicated to. That will make them very happy.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Arthur. Relationship and follow up are two major important things that were taken from your insights. Thank you so much, Arthur. Deepika, what would you say are the major responsibilities you currently deal with as a product manager, right? And what would you say is the toughest responsibility you currently deal with as a product manager?
So essentially, it's the whole end-to-end product life cycle, right? So you start off with discovery. What should I build? And then why is this important? Is this what is the impact of this problem, and things like that. So problem discovery and definition, and a lot of this needs user research, stakeholder management, really connecting with your users, uh, talking to business. How does this fit with the long term vision? And as you grow in your career, even defining the product vision is something the PMs do. Um, s- so your day to day is a mix of execution and long term roadmap and vision. So you're sort of juggling between the two, and execution would look like sprint planning, um, meetings, stakeholder meetings, setting expectations, and there's also a lot of deep work, which is your problem definition. So we one of the main outputs that the PMs are required to do is PRDs, so which is essentially a product spec where you go in depth about what is this problem, why are we solving it, and then you collaborate with design, you collaborate with tech to put together a full spec. um, yeah, these are essentially the responsibilities, but it would all boil down to the same thing that Arthur was saying: be curious, ask the right questions, and problem solve, and talk to your customers. um,
Amazing.
Ricky, on that note, I just wanted to say, should we take some audience questions?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Please feel free to drop your questions on the chat. I actually didn't see any question, which is why I just went. Please feel free to drop your questions on the chat, so that okay, beautiful. Thank you, Shandip. Uh so Rama is asking, what are the key advantage to become a product manager with a past experience as a UI UX designer? Okay, is that question for me, Rama? Okay, I think we could all answer it, but I think I'm just gonna go first because I actually transitioned from UI UX design to product management, and trust me, I think that would be like the biggest decision I actually made. Why? Because as a product manager, not only do I actually conduct easy design reviews with my current designer, the relationship is actually like really really strong. I mean, like I think that is why, probably because I'm a UX product manager. That is why I have close relationship with my designer more than I have relationship with my software developers. I mean, like, so really, it's really amazing. But that is because as a UI UX designer, moving into product management, you get to understand not just design principles but how they work. More importantly, you get to understand how they affect customers, because over time, if there's one thing I've actually realized that customers need whenever they interact with the platform, is number one is simplicity, right? Many a times we get overboard with the fact that we need to add this feature, we need to add that feature, but customers actually really want simplicity. When they use your product, they really do not need a technical manual before actually reviewing or before getting to. I mean, like, let's take for example successful product like WhatsApp. No one needs like a manual before actually learning how to use WhatsApp. Navigation, as long as navigation is actually really really easy, uh trust me, customers actually, you're actually on the right track to satisfying customers need, which is what has actually helped me transitioning from UI UX design to product management. Trust me, you tend to spend more time on research, not just as a UI UX designer, but also as a product management, which actually helps you get into the mind of customers to understand what they need at every point in time. I think I'll just ask the question probably later. Where you have current user needs, and then there's a need to actually satisfy it without getting to like understanding their mindset, right? But my experience as a UI UX designer actually gives me more room, more opportunity to speak to customers directly. I mean, like I love face to face interviews. That's because over a chat you can actually determine what a customer wants, right? Feelings could be hidden, right? But when you actually meet them face to face interviews, and that has actually helped me transitioning from UI UX design to product management. Arthur, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you cover it pretty well, right? Sometimes I feel like the UX designers can take over my job. I feel very comfortable having them run some of the user research and all that. I can take a step back, focus on some of the other stuff that I have. But no, I think you covered pretty much everything. I agree.
All right, thank you, Arthur. Uh, okay, Sandeep, any other question? Okay, so Claudia is asking, how did you learn business acumen that helps guide you while managing or while communicating? Deepika, you want to help us out with that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's essentially about connecting with people. So for the business acumen, right? So who are you talking to, and what do they care about? And also asking questions. So everyone is happy to answer your questions if you like structure them well, and if you ask the right questions, right? So you sort of understand where they're coming from, and then help bridge the gap. So as PMs, that's what we do. We help bridge the gap between business users and engineers. So essentially, you're just trying to understand all their points of view and bring it together.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Deepika. Arthur?
You guys are
Right.
doing fantastic. I have nothing to add.
Right. Thank you so much, Arthur. Any other question? Okay, so as a product manager, how would you choose which feature to keep, kill or repurpose? Okay, I like this is like what kill or repurpose. Okay. Also, would you ever go with your gut feel over research finding? This is a very interesting question. Arthur, would you like to help us out with this?
I'm going to share a very personal story. Nobody judge me here. It was my very first PM launch. So, my first job was to redesign the search experience. So, basically, search result page, right? If you go to Google, you type in the search term, you get like 20 results. So, I was doing this on one of the apps that I was building internally. And I decided with my gut to say, hey, I'm going to redesign the search experience and only limit it to top three results from like 10 or 20. Naturally, you would think that, and let me back it up here, right? So, my reasoning for doing that is because I thought it would be cool and it will have great UX design and it's, clean and nice because it's little results and it's easy to search for stuff. But when I launched that feature, and the first comment, well, the first hour, I had a lot of customer feedback that told me that search is broken because they cannot find the things they need because they were only top three results. And I quickly had to roll back that feature to showing 10 results instead of three, and quickly did a retrospective, right? On hindsight, following my gut wasn't the best thing to do. And ever since that day, my first feature, I'm glad I learned it very quickly, was to always trust data, right? And not trust your gut, because a PM's gut can be very dangerous, but at the same time, it can also be a superpower. But when it comes to, experimentation, A/B testing, this is where you can quickly verify and think that, hey, is this a great idea? What are our initial read? What is the feedback that's coming in? Is that good? Should we continue down this path? Right? I think that's the muscle that you have to build. And I was fortunate enough to learn that very early on in my career. Following my gut was a wrong choice. And ever since then, I've been very data driven. And it really has served me very well in my career and helped me get to places that, I would never imagine.
Great. Thank you so much. I mean, like Deepika also agrees. Also always validates your gut feeling, and like that is like super super important. Hypothesis is actually really 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 dangerous while dealing with customers. So I think we've come to the end of this session. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us. Thank you so much, Deepika. Thank you so much, Arthur. I know we're actually out of time already, but what last words would do you have for aspiring product managers? Just quickly in 2 seconds. So let
Follow
me
your
start with Arthur.
dream.
Okay. Okay,
Sorry.
cool. Follow your dream,
Sorry.
Arthur.
Trust the data, not your gut.
Trust the data, not your guts. Follow your dream. I'm gonna describe this and actually put it on my wall. Thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you so much, Deepika. Sandeep, thank you so much for your help. It was really amazing having you guys on the call. It was really a great privilege and honor to be on this call with you guys. Thank you so much, everyone. I really can't mention all your names, but I trust you had an amazing session. Feel free to connect with Arthur. Feel free to connect with Sandeep. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn on the ADPList platform, and every other question you have, we could actually answer them personally on subsequent occasions. Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Take care. Bye.